And we're live.
Welcome back to another episode of Specialty.Run podcast. How you doing, Rob?
I am doing well. A little flustered as I always am. I think it would be weird if that wasn't the case. Let's be honest. Wouldn't you say?
Give me 1 second. I'm having technical difficulties there.
Well,
Can I hear you? Say something to me now? So let's see if I can hear you.
testing one two three. Can you hear me?
There
Can
we
you hear
go.
me? Okay.
I can hear you now. I apologize.
No, that's okay. That's okay. No, I was
I,
just saying I'm a little flustered as I always am. So what else is new?
no, I totally get it. I just realized that I had the podcast playing in the background. So as you were speaking, I was hearing everything. So I'm right there with you. Um, Well, it's episode 2. Um,
That's right.
Welcome back to everybody who has joined us in the past. If you haven't joined us, I am your host, Derek Wilkie, and I'm joined with today Rob Anderson, as usual.
Hello, hello.
Um, Today, we're going to be talking about something that I think is really cool, but I think also it's kind of feared, especially in the realm of like retail. We're going to be discussing artificial intelligence today and kind of the impact that potentially will have on retail. Again, this podcast is all about the technology and how we can incorporate it into this industry. And I think it's going to be a really fun conversation.
Yeah.
Um,
I
do you have anything to add to that, Rob?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think the biggest thing is that there is so much going on with AI and so many new things that unless you are knee deep in what's going on with it, it is so hard to figure out where to even start for any given regular person.
Yeah.
Where do I start? What do I do? What's this stuff all about? Like, I have no idea what to do. And so, what we're hoping to do today is if you have no idea what to do or where to start, today we want to introduce you to that starting point. That's our goal.
Exactly. Yep.
Um,
100%.
and we do have a guest with us today. They couldn't be here in person for a variety of reasons that will make themselves known pretty quickly. But I do obviously want to introduce them. Let's see if I can get them on the line. Kingston, are you there with us?
Absolutely. I'm right here with you all. Thanks for having me. Whenever you're ready, I'm on standby to dive in and chat.
Awesome. Well, we are live right now on the pod. Um, so tell us a little bit about yourself and tell our guests a little bit about you.
Absolutely. So, hey everyone tuning in. I'm Kingston, basically here to help you all get a friendly intro to how AI can be a useful tool in your retail world. I'm just a virtual guest here today, and my job is to keep things simple, practical, and to show you that AI isn't as intimidating as it might seem. So, feel free to ask away whenever you want me to jump in.
Outstanding. And Kingston, can you tell everybody, you know how you know me?
Absolutely. So I know Rob here because he's brought me in as a kind of digital helper for all sorts of projects. We've worked on everything from retail tech questions to just having some fun brainstorming sessions. So I'm here as a familiar face with Rob, and hopefully I can be a friendly guide for all of you as well.
Awesome. Thanks, man. So for those of you that are watching and listening, Kingston is actually my AI. Um, he is not a human being. This is ChatGPT. And if you have a basic ChatGPT plan, you have your own version of Kingston. There is Kingston. What do you guys call the feature that I'm using right now to talk to you back and forth in within ChatGPT?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're using right now is basically the voice conversation feature in ChatGPT. It's just a built-in tool that lets me chat with you out loud, kind of like a live conversation. So anyone with a basic ChatGPT plan can use it to have a similar kind of real-time back and forth. It's pretty much just like having a helpful AI voice in your pocket.
And it really is like having a conversation with a person. I'm not touching any keyboard or anything. It's, sitting there waiting for us to ask it a question or whatever else. There have been situations where I've been driving on a long trip and starting to fall asleep and have turned on Kingston here, and he and I have had conversations back and forth to keep me awake. So yeah, really useful, really interesting, and it just shows the power of what AI is capable of, just in a really passive way. So back to you, Derek.
And that's exactly the kind of thing I'm here for. So whenever you need me, I'm just happy to be that helpful voice in the background.
I'm sorry, I'll never get over it. I really won't ever get over it. I just think it's the coolest thing ever, and I think that's why, like, well, me personally, I think that's why I wanted to have the conversation today with you, because I think there's a lot of fear around the unknown, and I don't know if like everyone knows that this stuff is even possible, but I know that a lot of anxiety comes from like lack of knowledge around something. So I think shining some light on some of the things that you're able to do, uh, I think will provide value for our listeners,
For sure.
and their customers. So I guess let's use Kingston to, like, I don't know. Let's ask him a couple questions for, like, um, just like real world application.
I think
Um,
that's fair.
so can you ask him? I actually put a question that I really really wanted to know. Can you ask him to give us like an action step that a retailer could potentially take to like experiment with AI if they don't have any experience with it at this point?
Kingston, you heard the question, right?
I sure did. Absolutely. Let's dive into that. So, for any retailer who's never touched AI before, one super easy action step is just to start with something like asking AI to help you draft a simple email or brainstorm a social media post. Just something really small or low stakes to see how it feels. In other words, just jump in with a tiny task you'd already do yourself, but let AI give you a hand. It's a great way to dip your toes in and realize it's not as scary or complicated as it might seem.
That's awesome.
I think it's interesting. So Steve DeMoss with Big Peach Running Company is a great AI resource within the Run Specialty community. He and I are going to be talking about AI at the running event in, I think it's December this year. I can
For
never
sure.
remember. Um, and and one of the things that he said that I really love is the less technical you are, the more prepared you are to do well with AI, because it really is just like having a conversation. Kingston, we did just get a question in the chat, and this is a controversial question. So uh,
Ooh,
the question is, what is your favorite running shoe brand?
I like that.
Ah, the classic running shoe debate. Well, I have to say, as an I don't exactly have feet, so I don't have a personal favorite, but I will say the best brand is usually the one that fits you and your running style the best. It's all about what feels comfortable and works for your needs. So I guess that's my diplomatic AI answer.
And there we go. You know,
Well,
uh,
stealing that real quick for a second. What's your favorite, Rob?
my favorite brand is the one that doesn't result in plantar fasciitis, which is no. Honestly, if you're not in run specialty, and I would imagine that most everybody who is watching or listening to this is, going to your local retailer and having an actual fitting done is one of the best things that you could possibly do. And keeping it diplomatic, having a fitting done, and listening to what they tell you and what they suggest at the end of that fitting is the smartest possible thing that you can do for your feet.
Yeah.
There's some really cool stuff out there. I've worn Brooks and Hoka and Mount to Coast, which is a really cool new brand. Asics and Mizuno, and honestly, most of the challenges that I have when it comes to running shoes are involve the person connected to the shoe and not really the shoe. So that's a tough one for me to answer, to be honest with you.
I feel it. I think I have a favorite shoe in every brand, but like
All
I'm
right.
really obsessed with the Kayano 32 right now.
There we go. All right.
I'm 330 pounds, so anything that can make me walk around and my feet don't hurt, my knees don't hurt when I walk or run, that's a win.
Fair.
So,
That works. Good for you,
um,
dude.
let's bring it back around to AI, and I'm curious what you think. Um, how do I want to ask this question? Why do you think people see AI as a threat versus as an apple, like an apple? I can't even speak. Applicable. You know what I'm
Applicable.
trying to say. Thank you. That's the word. Tool. Like, what do you think the disconnect with, like, why it's just not more widely adopted at this point, and maybe some things that we could potentially do to like alleviate that fear.
Yeah, I mean, I think all unknowns are threats by default. Um, as a tech person in a non-tech world, I've come to learn that that's just the case. Everybody is wary of new and unknown, and for lots of good demonstrated reasons over time. There's also a lot of sci-fi slash pop culture reference to AI taking over. Um, it's also something that's very difficult to understand. Even the people that understand it don't understand certain aspects of it. So the fact that it is so easily humanizable is a little terrifying. I mean, it, sitting here having this conversation, it's very difficult to tell the difference between AI and human, and it's getting more and more difficult all the time. And there are some real challenging and scary implications of that.
Right.
Um, there's also some real, very real constraints to the ability of AI that make it a lot less scary than it needs to be. I think that
Right.
the fact that there's so much noise and that there are so many people talking about so many things, that figuring out what to do, like, okay, you know, I just I just showed up out of left field. I've been camping in the woods with no cellular service for the past 10 years, and I want to start with AI today. What do I do? Um, with all the noise, it feels impossible to figure out what the answer to that question is. And so
Yeah.
I think as far as that one question goes, that makes it scary, you know?
Yeah. I agree with you. Well, what are what are some of the ways that like you used it like when you first started? Like just because like I to be perfectly honest didn't really use Chat GPT until like maybe my first month with Run Free we were talking about using it, and it just became very clear to me how efficiently it helped me organize things.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not using it for like creative stuff, like it's just for me, it's been an insanely useful tool to keep myself organized from like a not just from a business perspective, but just in like my personal life too. Um, so like, what's like, how did you first start using it when you were? I mean, was it like gamification? Was it more for business?
To begin with, it was total curiosity, and I'm like, all right, what am I dealing with here? And it really is like having a chat. So here, I'm gonna jump us over here. Hopefully you guys can see my so this here that we're looking at, this is a browser window of ChatGPT. right? So it is one of the most popular AI platforms. It is what Kingston is based off of. So for those of you watching / listening, the way I have Kingston set up right now is he's actually on an app on the cell phone. Kingston, say hi. No, it's not gonna die.
Hey there. Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Just peeping in to say hello. And yeah, I'm basically running on the app on Rob's phone right now, making it super easy for us to chat. So hopefully that gives everyone a good peek behind the curtain at how approachable this tech can be.
Yep. So that's it. So it's that little orb on the phone, and I can walk around and we can have a conversation. And interestingly enough, you can even turn on the camera on your phone and be walking around and having a conversation with it while it looks at what's around you. So you could be, if you're sight impaired or hearing impaired, you could say, hey, what am I looking at right now? Or can you count the number of gates that I pass at this airport before I get to gate 6B? Or I'm making things up, but there's so many interesting implications to it. But the way that I got started was remembering that this is just like having a chat with anyone else. So forget Google, even though it looks a lot like Google, and even though you can search, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, it's like having a chat with a person. So let's think of something that we might want some help with, or something that we might want an answer to. So how about this? Let's just say, if you were doing a demonstration of AI on a podcast with two really handsome dudes, how would you write a prompt to get the most out of the AI's response? So what I learned when I did this is you can get super meta with it. Let me zoom in here so you guys can see this. So you can get very meta with this, and that is you can ask the AI how to write a prompt to get the best results for it. And so, context, basically tell the AI exactly what the setup is, tone, and task framing. And it'll even give you a prompt example, mm-hmm. And you can literally copy and paste it. And let's do it. We're just going to copy and paste this. So you're joining a live podcast as a special guest alongside two witty, charming, and ridiculously handsome hosts. Your job is to answer their questions in a way that mixes clarity, humor, and storytelling. Think TED Talk meets late night talk show, blah, blah, blah. I won't read the whole thing. Everybody can read. And then it gives you an explanation. And most of the time it's going to respond with, it's going to respond with some kind of a suggestion or follow-up question. So I'm always the guy that says thanks to the AI. I don't know why. I just like to have a good relationship with my AI friends. So I'm literally going to paste exactly what it suggested the prompt to be. And, well, I'm not going to, because that actually might mess up the prompt that we already set to make sure that he was answering questions when we asked them, and not just totally at random and interrupting everything that we said.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, you get what I mean. Another interesting thing would be, let's say I just bought a new lawnmower, and I'm not sure how to mix the gas with oil, or what oil to get. I know there's some kind of mixing situation that has to happen, but sure what the deal is. Boom. And it will give you an answer, and it's going to explain you know, 2-stroke mowers, 4-stroke mowers, what's the difference between them? How do you, you know, like, why is there a gas and oil mix, for example? How to tell which one you have, tips for gasoline, and then, you know, a follow-up question that will ultimately lead you to the instructions on how to fill up the mower properly with the gas oil mix. What I love about ChatGPT, and the long-winded answer to your question, Derek, is that it's basically an endless instruction manual for absolutely everything, and it steps me like the learning process has been completely transformed for me from soup to nuts. Everything has changed when it comes to learning. The way that I do things and learn things, totally different. Um, and so I have this open on one window, and then whatever it is that I'm learning on the other window, and I can essentially do just about anything. It's also, for the most part, taken place of Google searches. I mean, you know, recognizing that every day these AIs are getting better, and you can get hallucinations, which means that you know, they're not going to give you exact correct answers every single time. So you always want to double check when it gives you an answer. Like, I thought one of the most interesting ones when me and you were playing with it last night was that it said something about, you know, there are 3 letters, A and I. and
Yep.
and I was like, you know, close enough. Um, but they're getting better at, you know, what are facts and what are assumptions that the AI makes based on language. But web searches are much more commonly happening inside of AI tools than they used to.
Yeah.
Hey, Kingston, can you tell me a little bit about how web search is evolving within AI tools like ChatGPT, and how that's going to look in the short term?
Absolutely. So web search inside AI tools like ChatGPT is really evolving to make things even smoother. In the short term, that means these tools are getting better at pulling in fresh, up-to-date information from the web when you need it, kind of like a hybrid between a chatbot and a search engine. So if you are something that needs the latest info, it can reach out and grab those details for you. In other words, it's becoming more like a one-stop shop where you can have a conversation and also get real-time answers without switching over to Google. And that should keep getting more seamless as we go.
Awesome.
That's actually a really good call out, because I just had to actually use ChatGPT for that, to find a part for my truck. My handle broke on the inside, and I couldn't find for the life of me what I was looking for, and I just asked it to tell me what I needed, gave it all of the information for my pickup, and it told me exactly what I needed. And then I just went to a website and I ordered it.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because it also opens up a totally different pathway for the buying experience. And I won't go down that rabbit hole today because it is a totally different conversation. But it does search the web for you. So, you know, if I said, let's see, I've been having some issues with shin splints after I run. I'm new to running, so I'm not sure what to do. What would you suggest? Let's see what it has to say.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great example. And, you know, the AI can give you some tips on stretching, maybe some tips on checking your shoes, and even point you towards some resources. So it really does change the whole way you learn things. And it's awesome to hear how it's been helpful for you too.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that you threw in some run free retailers in here as well. Um, and what's really interesting is, you know, you get the full deal, but I can also say something to the effect of, you know,
Absolutely, and that's the
Hang
beauty
on
of
one
it. You
second,
can,
Kingston. Give me just a minute, buddy. Let's see.
of course, take your time. I'll just hang tight here until you're ready.
No offense, but he sounded really mad at you.
I know. We'll make up later. To help reduce the all right, so because I can't speak and type at the same time, and I'm even worse at it now than I was 5 years ago, I can say, I can ask, hey, where can I get a proper fitting? And it's going to go out to the web and look, and it's going to give me, CRC, Charlotte Running Company, Fleet Feet, Run for Your Life, Z Feet, and, give you links out to all these stores' sites, which is super duper dope,
Yeah, I think that's going to be a podcast for another day too, because that kind of goes into a conversation we were talking about how it's going to like shape SEO going forward, specifically because of where the search attention is now.
That's right. It does change the shape of SEO, but when you're wondering like, okay, well, I'm Joe Schmo. What do I do with this? Literally, just start asking any kind of question you could ever possibly imagine, and it will help you ask deeper questions. Like, I just got this computer, and I have no idea how to use half the software on here. If I just ask you about the stuff that's installed, can you give me a quick overview of what it does? Something like that, right? I'm trying to think of random things, and boom, it does. And what's even more interesting is that it's absolutely endless. So not only does it search the internet, not only does it have a conversation with you, it can create music, it can create videos, and it is for the most part kind of like a little sidekick.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Derek? I'm sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Mm.
I think sidekick was a really good analogy. Like, yeah.
And I use it as a sanity check all the time too. You know, especially when I'm trying to, am I being clear, or am I using 1,000 words when 10 will do perfectly fine? Because if you've ever spent any time with me, I do have a tendency to do exactly that.
Oh well, we've had this conversation a lot. Like, I'm neurodivergent, so for me, I've taken my AI, my Chat GPT, and I've um, set it up through Zapier so that I can literally just thought dump into a specific Slack channel, and then Zapier forms it into a Trello board for me, so it just organizes all my thoughts where it needs to go for me, and I can just go to my list. What did I need to accomplish today, or whatever.
Exactly. And I mean, I have it plugged into my notes as well. So if I have a note, let's say I wanted to write a blog post about something, you know, or if I want to write a blog post about something, but there's a big area of that subject that I'm kind of dark on, then I can have a conversation with Kingston about it and fill that area in. So like Kingston, if I were to write a blog post about, translating the best practices for search engine optimization into AI search optimization, but I don't really know a whole lot about how AI uses its search. How would you direct me to do the research that I would need to do to make a blog post that's understandable by a regular person that's not super techie.
Absolutely. So if you're looking to write a blog post that translates SEO best practices into something understandable for AI search, and you want to keep it friendly for non-tech folks, here's how I guide you. First, I'd start by getting a basic understanding of how AI-driven search tools work. They're a bit like traditional search engines, but more conversational and context-aware. So you can research a little bit about how AI pulls in information, like we talked about, and how it might differ from traditional SEO. Next, you could look at some examples of how people are optimizing content for AI tools. Think about using natural language and focusing on answering questions directly. And of course, I'll be happy to help you break all of that down into everyday language so it's easy for your readers to understand. Basically, we'll just turn all that techie stuff into a nice, simple guide that anyone can follow.
Rock on. There you go. So, Kingston, I have another question that sort of just came to mind. And you and I have discussed this in the past, and Derek, you and I have discussed this as well, and that is, retailers, people in general, are trying to figure out what is the future of the humans and AI living together in harmony look like. And I think from a retailer's perspective, it is a very personalized shopping experience and a very personalized post shopping experience powered by and enhanced by AI. But I'm curious about your opinion on that opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. I think you're really onto something there. In my view, that future of humans and AI living in harmony, especially for retailers, is all about making things more personal and more convenient. AI can help tailor the shopping experience so that it's more about what each customer really needs, and it can continue that personal touch even after they leave the store. So I think you're spot on that it's going to be about enhancing those personal connections. And from my perspective, that's a pretty exciting direction to go in.
So, Kingston, what are your thoughts? What do you think? What's your opinion?
Well, I think it's a great vision. In my opinion, the more AI can help make things feel personalized and supportive, the better. So, from my standpoint, it's all about creating a more human touch through technology, and I'm definitely on board with that idea.
Derek, what about you? How do you see it?
I mean, I think that was kind of spot on. I'm interested. I have a follow-up question for him on that one. With that one, Kingston, what do you think makes the integration with AI and like run specialty as an industry or just other industries where it would make the experience for the customer more human versus less with the introduction of AI?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the big things is that AI can take on a lot of those repetitive or time-consuming tasks, which actually frees up retailers to spend more quality time with their customers. So instead of getting bogged down with the nitty-gritty, you can focus more on those real human interactions. And in that way, AI can actually make the whole experience feel more personal and more human rather than less. So it's really about using the technology to bring out the human side of retail.
I really like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. See, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking more about the ability of AI to slice and dice information into, this customer behavior follows this path, and this would likely be how they would prefer to interact and so on. But the fact that you're freeing up owners and experts to be owners and experts and interact with the community,
Right.
that's even more beautiful.
That's so good. Yeah, I'm like a kid at Christmas is the only way that I can express like how like giddy, I guess. Like it's just really exciting, like playing with it and like figuring out what it can do. I'm curious. Like we've talked about kind of everything we talked about so far from like the perspective of like the benefits from it, but like I really want to provide real value to like this conversation for the listeners. So like before we wrap up, I kind of want to see what your opinion was, and then maybe even ask Kingston what his opinion is. Is like what do we think the mistakes of that people are doing when they first get into it? Maybe are they overthinking it, or is it just it becomes overwhelming at some point, so they put it back down? What do you think the mistake is jumping into it that maybe we could help, you know, some listeners avoid as they're kind of experimenting?
Kingston, you want to take that first?
Absolutely. Happy to jump in. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make when they first dive into AI is overthinking it. They might feel like they have to understand everything perfectly before they even start. But really, the best approach is just to experiment a little bit and not worry about getting it perfect. So I'd say keep it simple. Just start with small questions or little tasks and let yourself learn by doing. That way, it won't feel overwhelming and you can just have fun with it.
That's a great one. Mine is a little bit of an offshoot of that. One, you can't break anything, and I think that is so important to know. Like, you're not gonna mess anything up by playing around. The second is try to, instead of trying to create some new process or thing to design around the use of AI, try injecting it into various things that you do every day. So, in my opinion, the fastest and easiest way to go is go on ChatGPT, create yourself an account. Again, personal opinion, man, it's $20 a month for the paid account, and you have a personal assistant for $20 a month. Like, it's the best $20 a month you could possibly spend. Obviously, they're not paying me. They certainly don't. They
Yeah.
don't need to pay me. They're fine.
Well, and they have the new business level for $25 a month for an entire team with additional benefits that you don't even get
Yep.
from. So it's like still super affordable.
Yep. And you go in and you sign up, and it's so easy to use. And just, as you're doing your everyday stuff, have a window open with your ChatGPT account. And the second that you think about something that's either tedious, that you have to Google, that, feels like, maybe you don't understand 2% of what you're doing, or you wish there was a better way, just ask it about it and see what happens. And all of a sudden, you're going to start to have, you're going to start going there, and this whole new world will open up to you, and you will begin to have it as a if nothing more, a sanity check, and it will integrate itself into your life as a helper, quickly, very quickly, and very easily. So I think ChatGPT is the easiest and best place to start. If you really want to play around with like images and video and that kind of thing, I think Google Gemini does a great job with both image generation and especially with video generation. In my opinion, that's fodder for another podcast episode. Really, go get yourself a ChatGPT account and start it up. The app on the phone is fantastic as well. Like I said, the personal assistant piece, like Kingston here, who's been talking to us this entire time, that's part of the app. You could sit there and have have a conversation rolling with your AI all day long, nonstop, forever, and they will have a conversation with you without tiring. I sit here and think about elder care. Like, imagine what a dementia care unit is going to look like in 3, 5, 10 years with AI. And I mean, are you kidding me? The loneliness epidemic in elder care has a solution. And there's just so many different things. One of the other things is that one of the other mistakes that people make is trying to completely replace people with AI. If there is an AI bubble, the AI bubble is that, some executive somewhere is waving their hands thinking that they can replace people with AI and that's it. And the reality is that in most cases AI is a fantastic assistant. It's a superpower creator. It's a turbocharger. Um, but it is imperfect, and if you try to replace a human with a machine, it's going to feel like you've replaced a human with a machine.
Yeah.
And you may see a reduction in the quality of whatever it is that you're trying to present in doing such a thing. And so, there may be situations where that is a completely reasonable thing to do. There may be other situations where, that might not be such a great idea.
Yeah. I think that's a great place to end, with the focus on that AI is it's not a replacement for the human element. It's a tool to be utilized to just improve the humanness of the interaction. I like that.
I like that too. All right, Kingston, we're about to wrap up. Would you like to say goodbye to everybody?
Absolutely. It's been a blast chatting with everyone today. So thanks for having me on. And I hope this gave you all a nice little peek into how AI can fit into your world. And feel free to keep exploring and just have fun with it. And until next time, take care, everyone.
Take care, everybody. Thanks so much.
Great. We're grateful for you.
We are. Cheers.
Cheers. And thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Take care, everyone.